in case you guys haven't seen me around yet, my name's Ayman, and I'm a community moderator over here. I have a passion for DeFi and especially interacting with and helping the communities that DeFi has created. We have the team here, the core team, Rev, Seventh Dawn, Lazy Coder, Doc, MB86, Dex, Born, and Bones. And remember to ask your questions in the AMA channel and upvote the ones that you want to see answers to most. So we can kick it off with having the team introduce themselves. So I'll hand it over to you, Rev.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Name's Rev. I've been working with the team since our start. Super glad to be here. I'm a big DeFi head. I got my start in crypto, just kind of trading like a lot of folks, and hoping to make some money in that, and quickly found that I was losing more money than I was making at times, and then I think got involved in Avex and started to see the community here, see what Joe was building, what things we're doing, and really wanted to get involved. Then kind of started writing a lot of content about how to DeFi, what to do with stablecoins, kitten yield, etc. I think that took off pretty well and started to get me cemented into the community here, and then started working with this team, starting just as a community manager, and then doing a lot of BD stuff, and a lot of project management stuff with the team, and just really just loved to get to know them, see them as builders, as friends, and just get to know what we're capable of. And it's really exciting to be in this space, building right now. In the market we're in, it's kind of scary, but to be building right now is just a huge thing, and we're super thankful to be doing it. I'll hand it over to Seventh Dawn if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Seventh Dawn. I'm one of the three contract guys that is backend developers on the Vector team. All three backend developers are French, hence my small French accent. With the other two guys, we've been fumbling around trying to trade just like Rev, just like everyone. And we figured that since we were developers, all three of us, we better try to contribute to the entire ecosystem by actually coding. And that's what we did. And here we are, after having working our way through a couple of projects, we are working to build the features, the main frame of everything that composes Vector. And we're really excited to do that to continue doing that.
I'll go ahead since Lazy didn't respond. I'm Doc. I've been here from the start, just like Rev. I'm the lead front end developer. Basically, I make the Vector website function and look the way it does by taking Bones' awesome designs and making them into reality. I do that along with Lazy. I also am technically able to do contracts, but I usually get stuck doing everything on the front end. But I'm hoping now that most of that is pretty much stable and good to go, I will be looking into doing a lot more on the contract side of things for some exciting things we have coming up. Yeah, I love Avex. Can't wait to see where things go. Can't wait for Joe and PTP to dish out their governance and really get things cooking for Vector.
Hey guys, MB86 here. Like most of the other guys, I've been here since the inception of Vector. Similar to Rev, kind of got my start in crypto through trading and realized I wasn't really that good at it, and kind of found my way into DeFi. It's a lot more enjoyable. As far as the Vector side, I'm kind of support Rev and Dex as much as I can from some of the marketing and some of the community standpoint. Two of the hardest working guys that they don't need tremendous amount of support. They're beasts, and just like everybody else in this team, very talented, and I really enjoy working with all these guys.
Hey, I'll go. I'm Dex here. I'm one of the co-founders of Vector. I work really across the board, mostly in a project management capacity, so helping a lot with like ideation, tokenomics, making sure we get things done. I do a lot on the BD side with Rev as well, partnerships, marketing, that kind of stuff. And I work very closely with our dev team.
I'm lazy coder. Doc. Most people might refer to me as Doc's bitch, but I'll stick with lazy coder for now. My background is mainly in manufacturing, so I own an aerospace company that's U.S. based, and as well as a engineering company. So all of my development experience came from manufacturing and dashboarding, metrics, that type of stuff. So I got into DeFi in 2018, heavy in 2018. I'd been in crypto several years prior, but got in pretty heavy in 2018, and then Dex reached out to me randomly in October of 2021. Is that when it was? And kind of ran with it from there. So I handle a lot of the front end stuff, work with Doc and Bones, and we try and make amazing things.
Hi, I'm Bones. I'm the lead designer. I work mainly on the user interface, user experience, branding as well, and I do a bit of front end to assist Doc and Lazy on the project.
Hey everyone, Born here. So, long story short, back in Frenchies, we know each other IRL, and Simon just passed on the passion for DeFi and for building, and it's been a blast ever since, especially on Vector, and especially joining this team. So, looking forward to continuing working together and creating some miracles in DeFi.
All right, is that everyone?
We're missing
Okay,
Samad, our smart contracts guy, our main smart contracts guy. He's on vacation, but I'm glad he's got some time off.
Lucky him. All right, so are you guys ready to dive into the questions?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So first question I saw listed in the channel was about runway and how the bear market has affected you guys and your thoughts on the protocol's ability to continue doing the amazing stuff that we do.
Yeah, I can take that. So it's a hard question, I guess, just because so for us, we never raised money officially. Like Vector didn't do like a VC round or anything, whereas a lot of protocols did. So for us, it's really like our passion in this project and the team allocation that we have in terms of like VTX tokens that drive us to continue to innovate here, as well as our awesome community and just like our love for the project. Runway wise, we have some runway left over from like other things that we had done. As you guys know, we had, as some of you know, we are the founders of Magnet DAO as well, which actually we did our redemption for and kind of closed up shop there. But that gave us a little bit of flexibility in a few months here to extend our runway. And given that Vector, most of the legwork really with building a protocol is the upfront legwork, getting all the contracts ready, getting the site in a good spot, and things like that. Most of that is like the initial build time, which we worked really hard and from like February to April, basically like 24/7, working on Vector to get that initial build out. But now that it's done, a lot more of it is just maintenance, and continuing to like kind of innovate here and there. But the bulk of the hard work, I guess, is complete, and for the most part, the protocol is kind of self-sustaining at this point. In terms of runway and like continuing to innovate and continuing to push the project forward, it doesn't require, I guess, as much time is what I'm saying as it did previously. So that helps us a bit, and people are able to, our team, I guess, we're able to extend our runway a lot in that sense, just given people are able to kind of do some other things for themselves, and our pay can be, I guess, we've kind of like reduced our pay and have all taken like a big cut just to be able to extend our runway pretty far. other things that we're thinking of, we have considered turning on like a small fee where we're able to go up to 20% of the fee rather than 18%. So the little 2% there would take like a haircut off of the yields. And we've thought of turnings on something like that to potentially help our team with longer term runway. No, nothing official there yet, but just wanted to kind of share that's been on our minds, and it would help our team a lot. And then other than that, I mean, it's just finding ways for our team to continue to build, whether it's side projects or collaborations with other projects or partnerships, potentially working with just other projects or Ava Labs or something, just like anyone in the Avalanche community, and just kind of finding ways for our team to get more money in that way, so we can just continue to build in DeFi. So we've been looking at a lot of different options and things, but I mean, rest assured, like we're here to stay, and we're going to keep building for Vector, definitely.
That's good to hear.
I'll add on a little bit. I think Dex spoke to kind of as a team, our personal runway and how we're doing with kind of team funds. I think the other thing we'll add is that as far as emissions go for Vector as a protocol, you've seen the announcements of we're making sure that during this kind of bear market, we're using emissions wisely. And so we've been able to extend that pretty well by reducing emissions in a safe way, while keeping up a really attractive APR for our different pools, beating everyone that's in competition with us. So that's been nice to extend that and make sure that we have for times when it's a little more frothy, we can be a little more attractive in the future and come back stronger. And then Doc, I see you unmuted. Maybe you want to speak. You have something else to
say? Yeah, I mean, just in general, I'm definitely someone who just absolutely loves to code no matter what. So even if we had absolutely zero money, I would still be coding and building and doing stuff for Vector because I just love what I do. Just to be real.
Doc is the Giga Chad.
The Giga Chad biceps over here. If he stops coding, the biceps get smaller. That's the problem.
Facts.
Yeah, I think the other thing I'll add is just we've been strongly considering some different ways that we can continue to build out Vector in a way that doesn't require emissions, and different strategies that we might be able to add that will bring value to VTX lockers and maybe a little bit more to the team as well. So we're thinking through that, something DeFi strategies that might be attractive for folks to use now that we've established this really great brand of Vector. How can we continue to build that out and extend our runway even more? So we're thinking about that.
Yep. It seems like you guys have all your plans set up, and if there was any team in DeFi to trust, it would be you guys. And what Rev said before about emissions leads pretty good into the next question that I saw, which was about the cutting of emissions far ahead of the schedule. And people were wondering what kind of flexibility this gives us in the future, and maybe, the ability to add another VE token to the protocol without really struggling to incentivize it at first.
Yeah. I'll kind of continue down that road. And if others want to speak up, great. I think we've seen lots of protocols do this. Joe did this recently of turning down farm emissions for Joe. And I think it's a super smart move to consider for any protocol. One, who's dominant in the space, and two, you just have to consider it during a bear market. When you're dominant in the space like we are, you've got incredible yield and some great rewards for folks that are converting PTP or converting Joe that beats everyone else out. And we were, double, triple the APR of some of our competitors or more still. And so when you see that, you kind of have to consider, okay, should we be putting this much VTX out? And so we decided that given the market situation, I think you really need to be careful with your emissions. They're your bread and butter of how folks use the protocol. We want to get those conversions at a healthy rate. They're still at a super healthy rate even after we've reduced. And what we've done by doing so is one, we've got more bonus emissions that we can use to add other protocols if we see fit. So yes, we do have some extra VTX to respond to the market and new VE protocols or other protocols that we want to build on top of, which is really attractive. And then two, we've definitely extended how long our emissions can go if necessary. Now, if the bull market comes back and things get rip roaring again and we start to see the market just take off, it might be again at some point we need to up emissions to be competitive, and we'll also have that in our back pocket. So that's for me, that was really a attractive reason. The other thing that you'll see when you lower emissions is everyone else's yield farming is you're not being diluted as much when you buy VTX. You can feel free to buy VTX, start using us, locking it up, and you're not going to be diluted by a huge amount of APR coming after you. So that's really attractive to anyone that's using us, but especially larger purchases from whales that want to invest in Vector in the long term and hold. They're not going to be diluted. So I think it's a really attractive for anyone.
Yeah, to kind of caveat on that, in our docs, you are able to see what the general guideline of our emission schedule is. And we are way ahead of schedule, which is fantastic for anybody who's here now because you're very early. And so basically, any VTX that you're able to acquire now, it just benefits you for anybody who comes in after when the bull starts to come back and we get more TVL. You'll be reaping the benefits from that increased TVL, and then any new super secret things that we're planning on doing, you'll already be involved. And I think it'll be great for just about anybody in our community.
Also, quickly wanted to add that basically the VTX emissions were here to kind of alleviate some or help people get in XPTP and ZJO. But at the moment, we're almost at, let's say, 50% of the rewards going to XPTP are from PTP, so are from the fees of the protocol itself. And that just gives us a lot of space to kind of do a lot of things with VTX without wondering too much, are we going to be able to sustain those emissions? Because we already are, we're in advance, and we have some cool ideas, and we'll be able to use VTX to help those ideas build and to get even more incentives to the VTX lockers.
And for me, that's one of the big things with Vector is people these days are asking, where's the yield coming from? How is it sustainable? But over here, we get the yield from fees, which is, one of the best ways to do it sustainably. It's a good tie-in into the next question. Honestly, it's a personal question for me and some people in the AMA channel. I'm wondering if there's any chains that you guys are looking at deploying on, possibly making Vector a cross-chain platform in the future.
Yeah, there's not much of a. We're not. I guess the answer is no. We're not really looking at anything right now. In the future, we'll certainly explore it, and it'll depend a lot on what our partner protocols do. But Vector is directly integrated with Trader Joe and Platypus, and those are Avalanche native chains. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to expand elsewhere. So I think what might be more interesting is like cross communication protocols like Layer 0 or Axelar as cross chain bridging and like fully cross chain projects become more commonplace. That could be something that we look into integrating with, but as of right now, I don't see the big use case of going cross chain, unless Trader Joe or Platypus do, or anyone else that we end up partnering with.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing for me
ahead.
is when I look at the DeFi ecosystem and where things are happening. I think I think AVAX is number one of mine for me. Like I think the biggest developments are happening here, and I'm looking forward to even more. I'm so there are other chains out there, but to me, their level of TVL, the level of development, the community that's there, just doesn't match what our partners already have. So I'm super focused on AVAX right now. But again, if we see something that's attractive and looks like we could have a strong starting point from there, obviously we're thinking about that constantly. DeFi is always on the top of mind for us.
Yeah. Just to kind of add to that, like, as Dex said, we got to watch what the kind of protocols that we lean on do, but anything that we end up building in house, you know, could possibly have cross chain capabilities, but there's so much stuff up in the air. But what would be nice is allowing essentially like a cross chain funnel for bridging funds directly into Vector from other chains. I mean I mean, just me personally, that's something that I think would be kind of cool. Allow easy access for people to just one stop, move funds immediately into vector pools from different chains and things like that. Create a nice little siphon effect for AVAX and get us hot and popping again.
Yeah, totally. That
Yeah,
that
agree
that
with that,
funneling
Doc.
idea sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think those will probably best be done via like via a type of protocol like Layer 0 or Axelar that is like fully cross chain encompassing, not just like chain specific.
Yeah. Next question is about the XPTP and ZJO derivative token pegs. And people were wondering if there was any plans to implement some kind of mechanism that could help keep that balance closer. And another question kind of related to that was if these tokens would be possibly added to Platypus in the near future.
Yeah, for the pegs, it's a tough time right now in a bearish market where the peg health or ratio health, however you want to call it, is really dependent on like demand for the underlying token. So just like kind of as the actual tokens and broader DeFi aren't doing so well, it's just becomes naturally harder to maintain the peg. We have thought of some different mechanisms to help us get the peg better. For example, one would be when people convert XBTP or ZJO on our site. If the peg is under a certain ratio, then instead of converting 1-to-1, we will auto route through Trader Joe. So that's something that we've explored and can certainly implement. The trade-off there is that it results in less XBTP or less PTP and Joe conversion because it routes for people to buy on the open market rather than actually increasing our black hold PTP and Joe. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there. And then other stuff that we've thought about in the past is if we do end up implementing any sort of like auto compounding pools, we could have an option where because currently like the yields from LPs are in the form of, or the yields for stablecoins and LPs are in the form of PTP and Joe rather than XPTP and ZJO. So if we were to be able to do some sort of auto compounding there, then we could have we could distribute tokens in XPTP and ZJO instead of PTP and ZJO. And the way it would work is when people get yield in the form of PTP, we would then convert it on Trader Joe automatically and give them XPTP instead. So that's something that we've looked into as well. Other stuff we could do, we could use fees from the protocol as like kind of like a backstop. So set some fees aside. I guess the pegs for these tokens have only really started to suffer more recently. Up until now, they had been pretty good. So we're just starting to kind of explore this stuff now. And if people have suggestions or thoughts on what they think is best, like always feel free to post that in the ideas and suggestions channel, or in general, or wherever you want to chat about it. But yeah, it's something that we're definitely looking into now.
And by looking into, we have already built out a few of these mechanisms and have started testing some of them. It's just a matter of trying to figure out, realistically what will be best for the protocol long term, and things like that. So it's not like this is just something new that we've recently started thinking about. We've actually kind of had a lot of these ideas rumorating around since the beginning. Um, because at the end of the day, the goal is to make the experience for all of Vector users a pleasant one, and that especially is important for our XPTP and ZJO stakers.
And just to add on that, we have, as you know, 6% fees from PTP and Joe that get converted, and that kind of gets an organic growth for the protocol. If we were to halt those, we could kind of help the peg in that instance, just auto buying on Trader Joe. But we need to make sure that we're the best protocol and that no one is going to overcome us just because we put a stop to those conversion, if you know what I mean. So I think we're in a good spot, but we just need to make sure that, well, we stay that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to hear that you guys have plenty of options in mind to help restore the peg to, where it was before the bear market struck. More interesting questions that I read from Zavia, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, was about a possible safety net system for stablecoin LPs where a wallet could opt in or out of it, and it would offer basically an option for the protocol to auto sell that stablecoin if it depegs beyond a certain percentage. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually I think that's a really cool idea. It would be interesting to implement because you would need to rely on various oracles to continuously check prices, and detect depegging, and also have external bots running to be able to liquidate those assets, or swap them out to whatever. And it adds a complexity level, that's slightly more than what currently happens, because it's no longer a user controlling users' funds, which is one of the reasons why our contracts are so safe and secure, is because of the way things are able to be triggered. It is very specific to users, and once you add that kind of third layer to it, to where other contracts are now controlling your funds, especially going even a step further with external bots and oracles and things like that. Excuse me.
Yeah, you
It
slowly
becomes a
become
very,
centralized to a certain degree.
well, yeah, to some extent, a little bit, but it's more so, you introduce a huge amount of security risk, and yes, you can do things to mitigate those things, but there's been situations where oracles have failed and people were able to pull out super high leverage on tokens where the price wasn't displaying correctly, and manipulate the systems. There's so many things that can go wrong. So I love the idea, and I think it's something that'd be really cool to look into. Um, but it would definitely be something that would be a super delicate process that we'd have to kind of walk through.
Especially because the last thing you want to do is have all your funds on one single contract. Like at the moment, your funds are either in your wallet or in the same block or transaction, they will be in Platypus. We never keep funds on our contracts, and that's why this is secure. If we were to withdraw those and kind of sell those, etc., I mean, you can guess.
Yeah, it's definitely important to keep security in mind, but that was just a really interesting question that I saw. Just to let you guys know, we're gonna have some people come up later for verbal questions. So if you guys want to start thinking about, something that you want to ask the team directly, you'll have some time to do that. Another question that I saw mentioned pretty frequently was if Vector will implement the option to withdraw Platypus LPs in other tokens, like is allowed on Platypus's main site.
Yeah, we've been implementing that for we implemented that for the YUSD pool, and obviously in response to the UST DPEG, we implemented that to help some users recover funds. Importantly, it's each time we do that, we add another pool helper. So it is a little amount of effort on our part. But I think it's also important to be prepared for these types of events. So we're slowly rolling those out. If there's a particular pool that you're interested in seeing one, especially, please comment in one of our channels on that, and just tag me, and I can get that into a priority list. We're implementing those. They're definitely easy to put out there once we know the demand is there. We haven't seen as much demand recently just because the market has cooled down. PEG issues have really pretty much calmed down, and things seem to be solid. But I'm always interested in continuing to develop kind of how can we help users use their money in the way that they want, and withdraw easily.
All right. Another question was about using VTX as collateral on platforms like Yeti, more Aave, and other lending platforms like that. Any word on some developments in that area?
Yeah, we've thought about it, and I've chatted with the Yeti team about it as well. It's not something that we're too keen on doing, to be honest. I think that we've seen happen with a lot of other tokens that end up doing this is it's just leverage. People over leverage, and then that causes liquidations. And when you just have people getting liquidated on your own token, it's not great. So I don't know. VTX is we're a low cap altcoin, and we don't really think that people should be necessarily leveraging our token as collateral. So we don't want like cascading liquidations or anything on our token. So yeah, I don't know. It's not something that we really want to do.
I think
Fair
that
enough.
However, getting our LP tokens and stablecoin tokens are allowing people to leverage yield from, or sorry, allowing people to leverage collateral that's on Vector site into protocols like Yeti. That's 100% something that we are working on and really want to get done. So we're in active communication with the Yeti team to try to work something out there and streamline it. One of the issues that Yeti has, and why it's not so easy to get all of our collateral on there, is that they have kind of limits on how many different types of collateral they can add to the platform. So we're trying to find ways to be able to get as many of our users as possible there while also reducing the amount of different types of collateral that we need to add.
Sounds good. Is there? I've seen this a lot in just the main general channels and even in the AMA channel. Is there any kind of?
Oh, Ayman, you're cutting out. I think you're asking about auto compounding and kind of the strategies for that. Yeah,
Yes.
I'll let Doc speak to that one. He's got a passion for that.
Yes, I do. Yeah, so I guess somewhat a little bit of alpha, I guess. We are looking into setting up some of our own customizable auto compounding pools to an extent. And hopefully that will be, basically in-house pools, which we will have a lot more flexibility with, and allow people to possibly choose what they want to compound into, and instead of it necessarily being like, oh, I have AVAX and BTCB LP, instead of it compounding back into that, you'd say, well, I want it to compound directly into stables, and or I want it to compound directly into VTX or whatever you want, and basically set up a system that allows people to have a lot more flexibility over the auto compounding. It's something that I think is definitely missing in the space. And then who knows, maybe someday that could evolve into factory pools that individuals can design custom strategies, and then maybe the people who originate the strategy and obviously have to front the initial cost could maybe get us a small percentage of like the custom pool fees or et cetera, et cetera. Like there's a lot of flexibility that could come with this. So yeah, cool things will be coming.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
I'm super excited for what's coming on the auto compoundant and what we want to do there. It's like the flexibility of being able to do something like that is pretty incredible. Being able to choose, instead of compounding back into whatever you're doing, be able to choose stables, for example. I think that's going to be huge for this type of market that we're in. And I know that it's been a big demand from the community to get more and more, hey, I want to set it and forget it. And we're going to make that possible.
Yeah, definitely. And one, do you guys have any info about when we could expect some gauge voting, or if you guys are building like a vote platform in-house, or if you're going to be looking for some other protocol to be building that?
Yeah, so I'll talk about governance and then we'll talk about Vodium and that type of thing. Governance for Platypus, they're citing Q3 is when they're going to roll that out, along with hopefully fee sharing for VPTP holders. TBD on that second one, but they've said Q3 for governance, which would mean things like a gauge vote are going to start rolling out, which is really cool because we're going to be able to take our VEPTP and put it to use in a way other than just boosting our reward rate for PTP. We'll be able to say, this pool gets more of PTP than this one, which in turn means bribes, which is a huge thing for Vector. We've been looking forward to it forever. And so we're looking forward to what comes with that. As far as Joe, we've got them looking into governance and how VE Joe plays into that. They've put that in their docs. That VE Joe is going to be an important part of governance. They've been obviously focusing on Dex V2. So we've been hearing a lot about that. We're super excited for it. Should be really unique system on Avex. And we know that Joe is going to play an important role no matter what. When they roll out governance is still an open question. So next time you're in the Trader Joe Discord, please give them a little win governance, post that up, and then maybe we can get Blue antagonized a little bit, not too much though, and get that going. So we're looking forward to that. They're working on it. We've been actually in active talks about how to build that out and make it useful for us and for them. And the whole Joe community. So we're excited about that. And then on the Vodium front, how are we going to handle that when those bribes start up? We as a team have definitely been looking at that and saying, what are we thinking? There are options. Folks like Hidden Hand have built things. They're ready to deploy on Avex. So that's someone that we could use to use bribes and not have to build it ourselves. But we're also a super capable team that if that doesn't have the perfect fit, we definitely are able to build it out ourselves. So either way, we're going to be ready for it. It's just a question of priorities at the time and what's going on when those do become important to focus on. We're prepping, we're getting ready, and we're looking forward to it.
That's great. If any of you guys in the audience want to ask some questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Yeah, so on the Discord button to request to speak, you should see an option to request to speak at the bottom. Just flip that. We'll get you on stage. You'll ask your question, and we'll leave you up here for a follow-up if need be. And I'd love to get some questions from the audience. If you even if you don't feel prepared, please do feel free and chat with us. We love talking with you guys. I see a number of you in here have been around for a really long time, so I'd be glad to to chat.
Looks like
Rev, can you bring them up?
X Daddy.
Yeah, we'll get Aztec up, and then we'll bring up AX. Aztec.
Yo, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sick. First of all, cool AMA. Really enjoyed all the talks and answers. One thing that I've been really pinging Dogback Vector about too much is there a chance we're gonna see increased amount of slots for locking VTX? Because for me personally at the moment it's a bit too hard to manage it with 6. It would be nice to have maybe 8, so we can maybe unlock every 2 weeks or something if there is a nice price action on VTX, and I want to sell some and then buy more later, obviously. Yeah, have you been thinking about something like this?
Yeah, we increased. So we added a slot back when we had Joe Rush, and we certainly have the capability to do so. We may, no promises here, but maybe slight alpha. There may be another token that we're adding in the future, and when we do add that, of course, we'll do a rush for it, and that would mean one more slot, and maybe we just add 2 slots then, and just get it to 8, if that's a request that people want. Yeah, I don't really see any reason why we can't do that. So,
yeah,
should be fine.
So to kind of add on to what Dex is saying, so part of there is, I guess you could think of it somewhat of game theory with locking and the number of slots available, because obviously there's more rewards for locking, and the cause and effect, you're locked if you lock your tokens. And only having so many slots means you have to lock more often, which in turn helps keep more Vector locked up for longer. Because as of right now, once it's unlocked, you're still receiving the locked benefits until you actually fully, go to unlock and unstake or your Vector. But in the future, a couple of things that we're looking at doing is having varied time amounts for locking with tiered rewards, and kind of move things from a once it's locked and the time span's over, currently you still receive rewards as long as it's still in the locking contract, and instead move towards once the time is up, you no longer receive the additional locked rewards, but you have more flexibility to do either a shorter time span, or do a longer time span, for higher APR rewards, et cetera, et cetera. But we're still very much in the preliminary stages of that. But that would allow us to have a lot more slots, because as of right now, keeping it limited is what keeps the benefit of things continuing to be locked for the protocol itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, makes total sense. Love to hear that. Also, Dex, thank you for a little bit of maybe alpha. Yeah, that's my question, guys.
Maybe.
Thanks.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Thanks, Aztec.
AX, I'm gonna invite you up. All right, AX, see you there? Awesome.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you guys for the opportunity. And I would like to know more about, you guys briefly mentioned Dex V2, and what's Victor's opinion and plans about that? Is there a place we can read about it?
Yeah.
That's all, thank you.
So Trader Joe, Dex V2, they've been kind of sneaking it into announcements. There's nothing yet. They have not released their white paper. We know that it's going to be kind of a unique form of concentrated liquidity on AVAX. Uniswap V3-esque, but better. It's called Liquidity Book, I believe. I'm looking forward to reading the white paper. It should be out soon. No info on it yet, really, other than the name, and it's going to be about concentrated liquidity. So can't really speak to Vector's role in it. I know from the Joe team's words that Joe will be still a core element of that, even after emissions stop. And I think, what does Joe have, a year and a half or something like that of emissions still? So Joe will still be really core to that. There's still governance decisions to be made. And even, what will happen with their Dex V1 is, I'm not sure. So really TBD at this point is what I would say, and looking forward to more info from them soon. Does that help, AX?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Stacker, I'm gonna.
Sorry, I was on mute for a second.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say one other quick comment on that, which is pretty exciting, is that I think that it should hopefully be out pretty soon. The teasers have been like kind of, stay on the lookout the next like month or two. So hopefully we get some good news really soon. It seems like they've made a lot of headway. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, super exciting. Stacker.
Hey guys, thanks for the AMA, and obviously love this community and platform. Two kind of just maybe silly questions. Sure you guys answered this at some point, but where did the Vector name / brand come from? And I'm curious, what other names did you guys consider? And then maybe another little more serious one, and totally understand if you can't really talk about it, but there was someone brought up security earlier, and I know all these contracts have been audited. I guess I'm curious, has the platform been attacked? Has anyone been lurking around? And, not knowing anything about that, would you guys even know if someone was lurking around the contracts trying to exploit something?
So in terms of names, we went through a whole iteration of various names.
We knew we couldn't
from-
do worse than our competitor.
Yeah, we had everything from like Platypus X to like I can't even remember what some of the other funny ones we came up with, but yeah, we finally just decided upon choosing Vector because it sounded cool. You think magnitude direction, it totally correlates to awesome price actions, the way I kind of think of it. So I don't know.
Yeah, there were a few things.
And it
So
starts with,
Vector is
VE.
also VE. Yeah, V. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but in anywhere that we have like our name and logo, the VE is like a different shade. It's like bolded
Yeah,
versus
I made
the
it
rest of the letters.
a bit subtle, but
Yeah. So vectors is VE Vector, and then other stuff. Also, I mean, when considering names, like the first thing that we need to do is like, okay, can we get a good domain for this? So looking up like vector.finance, that was not taken, so that's huge for us. And then also ticker, like, is there a good ticker that we could use? And we really liked VTX. And then also CoinGecko, like, are there other tokens that are called vector, or so making sure that we're like the only ones, kind of thing. So different considerations, but it was fun to brainstorm that one.
Yeah. And I'll speak a little bit on the security question you had. I mean, in terms of the front end, we have had people basically copy pasta our entire website, and fire up domains that are similar to ours. But hopefully most people, I like to think people in the crypto community might have a little bit more nous about them to double check URLs. And I always encourage people, it doesn't matter if you've gone to a site a million times, always check, because links can be spoofed, and better safe than sorry. But from the front end side, that's about all we've really seen. Contract guys, I don't know if you guys have noticed anything, any funny calls or failed transactions that people have tried to do.
No. On the backend side, we didn't notice anything. Since our protocol is one that doesn't use Oracle or stuff like that, it is an attacker could try to do with his own local environment test. But we haven't seen any shady liquidity movement, deposit and stake. I mean, repeated operation in order to try to get a reaction out of the protocol. Nothing. Again, the way the contracts interact with each other, by the fact there's quite a lot of contracts, if you consider that each pool has its own associated contract, is very, very constrained. The main, the heart of the protocol won't accept any call from anything that's validated helper for each pool, meaning that even if someone wanted to try to press a button repeatedly, he will get nothing, and we haven't noticed anything of this type. So as far as this goes, we are pretty much.
Yeah, and another comforting thing is that the backend team has like alerts for if there's any like contract calls like over a certain size or certain frequency and stuff. So we have stuff in place to monitor our contracts as well.
Okay, good deal, guys. I appreciate it. And for the record, I like Vector. I like VTX, the name. I was just curious of how you guys ended up with that. So it's kind of a just interesting piece of information to know. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Yeah, thanks.
For sure.
Thanks for asking. All right, B Tanieri, I'm gonna call you up. B, you are invited if you want to ask a question. Anyone else from the audience wants to ask a question, make sure to get a request in to speak. B.
Hey, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey guys, thank you very much for taking my questions. Just a few really quick ones. Number one, are you guys planning, or is anyone on the team planning on being at the Avalanche event in New York next week? The second question is, let's say Platypus goes live with their gauges by the end of Q3, so like say September 30th. When would you say is kind of a conservative estimate to when you think voting on Vector would be live? And then just one small thing is the name of the group that you guys mentioned. I didn't catch it. The one that could potentially build the voting mechanism outside of Vector. Who are those guys, please? Thank you.
Yeah. So first question, Avax House. As of right now, I am planning to go. I just need to figure out where to stay for the couple of days I'd be going. But as of right now, I'm planning on going, and I know Ayman is going. So I'm excited to meet him, and apparently, I get to be his chaperone.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows a really sketchy place for Doc to stay, he'll snuggle you all night.
I'll take a cardboard box if you got
Hey,
one.
my basement is open for you, Doc.
Making connections right here on the AMA.
Right.
On the second question about end of September, if things were to be lined up for gauge voting, I'll say that we have a pretty close relationship with Platypus. We've got a good back and forth. Our contracts are really upgradable. You know, we've got a time lock on them to make sure that things are going through and reviewed. We've got a multi-sig that includes Platypus members, and they review everything. So it's a super close relationship. Everything that gets done, they review. So I'm confident that we would have pretty quickly afterwards, but I don't want to give an ETA on anything like that. There's always hiccups when you're testing or when you're looking at the contracts from our side. Hey, we need an upgrade, this, and this, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to give an ETA, but I'm fairly confident it would be soon afterwards. If not right then when they go live, it's pretty easy to work with them.
Yeah, and then with regards to the platform that does like bribes and stuff, Hidden Hand is one who we've been speaking with, and they're pretty eager to work with us and get a platform out there. They have done platforms in the past. So Hidden Hand is a protocol that, or I guess a project that is like they basically the Redacted Cartel or Butterfly created Hidden Hand, and they've basically set up these like custom bribe platforms for various protocols. And then another one that we might consider is Vodium, which is like one of the OG platforms in the space.
Or we'll just build our own because
Yeah,
we build everything and we build it better. So
that too.
Cool. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
As far as timeline, what you were talking about though is the second we know that whether it's PTP or Platypus or Crater Joe is getting close voting, it will be a mad dash to get it out because we all want it now just as much as the community does.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, guys.
yeah, man, thank you.
All right. Last call. If anyone wants to have a question.
When Vector NFTs?
We gotta get an NFT of Doc's biceps, yeah?
Yeah,
When?
right. I mean, that is actually a question I see fairly often on here is questions about NFTs. I mean, we have an amazing artist in our group, and Bones just absolutely loves NFTs. So I hear.
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Absolutely. And if Bones doesn't want to draw, we'll just have Dex do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm
it's actually good.
I'm pretty good at paint, you know.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, if we did do something, cause I'm a pretty big NFT, advocate. There are possible use cases, and if we come across something that is a pretty awesome idea, it's definitely something that we could look into doing. And we do have an awesome artist who would be able to assist my childish drawings look better. So it's a possibility. As of right now, nothing's really planned. But yeah, we'll see.
On the subject of NFTs, make sure you go check out our new PFP. We managed to acquire a legendary Speedo, not the type you're thinking of, but a legendary Speedo from Platypus, and we're super excited about that. That means 20% increase to our mining rate for VEPTP, which means more rewards for everyone using the platform and depositing in Platypus pools, which is really awesome. We're super glad to have that. We acquired it straight from the market the day of it opened, and got it for a really good deal. So very excited about that. And go check out Platypus NFTs and just check out the art, and pretty fun, and glad to have it.
Paper Hand's not going to make it.
Paper Hand's not going to make it.
When small vector when.
Right? I'm just waiting for small appas.
I mean, small vector. I'd have to draw pictures of Dex, I guess.
All right. Well, since no one has any more questions and we're coming in on the hour, just want to thank you guys for joining us today. And as always, if you have any other questions, I'm always here. I don't sleep, so ask them in general chat, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, guys, have a great day.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Ayman.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Everyone.
Cheers. See ya.
Cheers.
Bon voyage.